Hey guys, what's up? So it's currently like pretty much freezing rain out here. It's about to turn to snow. But I've got to make a video on this gun. I got to get it over with so I can get it uploaded. So this is a VFC Colt licensed M4, and this thing is freaking awesome. Now, it's an M4. That's what everyone runs pretty much, so it's nothing special. But this gun is just nice. The Colt body is fantastic on this. It is OEM VFC, so arguably one of the best manufacturers for externals. GMP also has a Colt licensed body. Those are pretty rare. These VFCs, I'm pretty sure, are pretty rare and expensive to purchase. So that's pretty cool. This was sent out to me from California. I believe he plays at Hollywood Sports Park and Tack City, and I think all of those fields. Or maybe, yeah, I don't think he's Northern California. I think he's like Southern or in the middle. For CQB, so sub 350 FPS and a decent rate of fire for outdoor use. I know some indoor fields allow full auto, like GamePod. I don't know if he goes there. GamePod allows full auto. They allow 400 FPS as well. This is 350, so he can play with it at any field, which is nice. But this would make a great gun to go to GamePod with and use full auto. Because GamePod, if you don't know what GamePod is, it's just this huge warehouse. It's like a Walmart, if not bigger. It's like bigger than a Walmart with just buildings inside of it, wood buildings to play airsoft in. It's insanely huge. Let's just start from the back, go to the front. So on here we have a EPS Magpul stock, which is awesome. This is the second stock actually within 2 weeks that I've had on a customer's gun. They are fantastic stocks. You can put a 2,000 milliamp 11.1 nunchuck in here, one down each crane stock tube, or one in the crane stock tube, and then one on each tube on the stock. And that's a 2,000 milliamp 15 to 25C by Nanotech, and that will last him quite a while. Will it last him all day? Probably not. So I'd recommend grabbing 2 of these. And he actually just texted me this morning and asked me what batteries he should buy, and I'm going to link him to these. It's got a standard pistol grip, ambi-sling mount here, functioning charging handle, obviously, and a functioning bolt lock, which is cool. VFC's got those on pretty much all their newer guns. Safe semi-full auto. The body on here, like I said, is a Colt license, and you can see all the trademarks. Very accurate to the real gun. Pretty cool. Awesome. When I pulled it out of the box, I was like, this thing is brand spanking new. I think he played with it a few times, but he has taken care of this gun. It's got flip-up KAC sights on here, which are really loose. They were really, really loose. I just have tightened them as much as I can with my fingernail, which is not much at all, so they're still really loose. He probably just threw them on here. He probably has a red dot, I would assume, or he's getting one. He's got a... What rail system is this? The rail system on here, I'm honestly not sure what brand it is. I'm thinking it's like Avengers or some copy like that, because I don't see any trademarks whatsoever besides just the numbering. So I'm thinking this is a copy, not a Daniel Defense licensed. But either way, it is solid. There's no wobble on this whatsoever. No barrel wobble. And it's anodized aluminum, and it looks like it's CNC'd. So it's probably just as good a quality as the Daniel Defense Mad Bull ones, the Mad Bull licensed ones, but it's just doesn't have any markings. That's simply it. And I think these retail for like 60 bucks, 60, 70. They're cheaper than like Mad Bulls. I'm pretty sure Mad Bulls are up in the hundreds. So probably a cheaper option. If it is a actual Daniel Defense, the owner of this gun, please correct me, or just tell me what brand it is. I'm pretty sure it's an Avengers or just some sort of copy. He also has a AFG on the bottom. I'm thinking this is the AFG 1 because it's pretty large. And then there's tan rail covers on both sides. These are probably GMP or just some rebrand. Doesn't really matter. A lot of this stuff comes from the same factory. He still has the orange tip on here. I don't think he's taken it off because it's tight. As far as internals, got quite the parts on the inside of it. It's got a BTC Spectre. This is the non-Bluetooth version. It's got a orange retro arms trigger with a short trigger full mod, SHS 1601 gears because they were out of 1301s, but I went with an ASG 40K boost to get that 30 rounds a second, which, you know, airsoft guns are pretty cool. You can kind of mix and match stuff. So, for instance, I want 30 rounds a second. They were out of 1301s or 12-1s, so 1601s with a 40K will get 30 rounds a second. Or I could have done I don't know if I called this a 30K. This is a 40K. Or you could have done a 30K and then done 12-1s and get about the same rate of fire and pretty similar trigger response. So you can mix and match stuff, which is really cool. So if certain parts are out of stock, you can go with like, oh, I want 30 rounds a second, so I'll get a 40K motor, 45K motor, and do 16-1s or 18-1s and get about the same rate of fire, like 30 rounds a second. Stock 8mm bearings, VFC bearings, in the 40K boost motor. It's got an SHS metal rack piston, the pre-lightened one. It's a short stroke by one tooth because it was shooting a little hot. So it's got an ASG M105 spring with the stock cylinder head, tappet plate, stock nozzle, stock piston head, stock hop up, stock bucking, and stock inner barrel. I don't think he changed those out. I didn't. It shoots fantastic. We're getting about 345 to 355, so pretty much smack dab what he wanted. 30 rounds a second, 28 to 30, which is what he wanted, and that's with this battery, and that's what I'd use. And the trigger response is great. I've got it at 0 pre-cocking with light active braking, and it automatically pre-cocks. I hope that makes sense. With this battery on here, it is pre-cocking without having it set for pre-cocking, and that's just because the torque of the motor, the torque of the gears, the voltage of the 11.1, it's just overspinning already automatically with having very light active braking. If I were to do no active braking, it would overspin and shoot, like double shoot. But since I have light active braking on this, it shoots properly on semi-auto, and the trigger response is very, very good. As far as magazines and BB weights, I initially was going to have him use 2.5s, but quite honestly, this thing shoots really, really good with just .2s. So I'm kind of leaning towards him just using 2s indoors. If he wants to use 2.5s, he can. The joules aren't really going to go up much at all. He's probably going to get like 0.3 higher than what it is with 2s, so I wouldn't do it. I would just use 2s. But if he play with 2s outdoors, and if you see a performance, if you see that the performance is not as good as you want, and maybe the range or the wind are taking the BBs, whatever the case, then you can step up to 2.5s. But for indoor, with no wind, no, the nature not affecting your BBs at all, I would just use 2s. Magazine-wise, high caps is what I'd use, especially outdoor. Just use high caps for full auto. Feeds fantastic. And then with mid caps, I have an Elite Force mag and a GMP to test. So we'll give those a try. These are loaded up with .2s. I'm pretty sure these will go through even on full auto, because 30 rounds a second isn't that fast, and .2s are light enough that it should feed. Just dry fire here, semi. Pre-cocking quite a bit, and then full auto. This is almost a fully charged battery. Okay, so here's the chrono. I have it set for .2s. I got .2s and a high cap, and it is overhopped a little bit with .2s. 340, 344, 340, 344, 340, 343, 343, 344, 345, 345. So pretty consistent, just over 1.1 joule, which is great for indoors. Let's test full auto here. 31 rounds a second, 31.3 at 343 feet per second. So the FPS is slightly low. Again, that's with hop-up adjusted, which in some cases actually speeds up the BB and increases the FPS. But in most cases, it just lowers the FPS because the bucking is slowing the BB down. Alright, so let's try this GMP mid-cap with .2s and see how it feeds. Again, there's actually some decent overhop on this thing. again, which is, this is like for outdoor use. So for indoor use, he can turn it down, which the FPS will go up slightly, because where I had it for indoor, it was like flat, shooting flat, it was chronoing 353, like very consistently. Yeah, this, a little bit too high, honestly. Turn it down. I think this gun is brand new, again, so I think the bucking actually needs broken in. But man, that shoots good. Trigger response, obviously, this zip tie in here is kind of hitting my finger, but you can just unload. There's no delay at all. We're getting a few skips on this mag. Huh. Yeah. This one doesn't feed the best. There's still some in there. I can see two. So it's just not going to feed. Let's go ahead and try the Elite Force. The feeding is decent. It went through most of it. So the Elite Force ones have a pass, .2s. I think he uses GMP mags or EPMs, but honestly, I would just use high caps. You can tell it's not shooting very hard. It's not, I mean, it's standard CQB FPS, but it's not smacking. It's actually pretty windy out here too. The BBs are curving just a little bit. It's raining currently. And let's try some full auto on these targets. Yeah, and I think it's lifting the BBs a little bit better on full auto as well. Thing for sure. If you have any questions or anything, let me know. This gun's awesome. It's just a kind of a mid build. Good trigger response, good rate of fire, 30 rounds a second. Right in between. Enough rate of fire to get a bunch of BBs out there, but not enough to just blow through ammo like that. So, pretty balanced build here, and he's going to enjoy it. Definitely.